All right, so here we are, 3 days deep since that bombshell dropped. The SEC and Ripple basically said, you know what, we're done here, and tossed their appeals in the trash. 5 years of legal drama officially in the rearview mirror. Plus, we've got this juicy update from Crypto Law US that's worth breaking down. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. XRP's got this golden opportunity staring it right in the face. The amount of hate being thrown at XRP lately, it's absolutely wild. We're seeing Bitcoin diehards losing their minds, plus a whole bunch of other folks who just can't stand XRP existing. And why? Because they're all racing against the clock, trying to outrun Ripple before it's too late. The funny part, Ripple isn't even breaking a sweat trying to compete with these people. Meanwhile, they're all pulling their hair out, desperately trying to cross the finish line first. Spoiler alert, it's not going well for them. Caitlin Long, perfect example right there. She's over there with Custodia Bank, trying to crack the digital asset banking game. Totally different playbook than Ripple's, sure, but she's chasing that same end goal. Problem is, she's basically spinning her wheels while Ripple's already miles ahead. And here's the kicker, she's absolutely fuming that Ripple threw their hat in the ring for a license too. We'll actually get into that drama later in this video. But honestly, the wildest thing about all this, people are still throwing major shade at Ripple and XRP after everything that just went down. We're talking 5 years later, people. Let's rewind for a hot second. Remember when this whole mess first got announced? Man, everyone and their mother was dunking on XRP and trashing Ripple left and right. People were literally popping champagne when the lawsuit dropped. Even Vitalik Buterin was out there celebrating the SEC going after Ripple. Can you believe that? It's mind-blowing how much has changed. But here's what's really getting to me. We're still seeing all this toxic hatred aimed at XRP and Ripple. Like, seriously? We've come this far and people are still acting like this? I just don't get why we can't all take a step back and appreciate what just happened here. A major company just beat the SEC at their own game. XRP, a digital currency that should be available for everyone to buy, sell, and trade freely, just survived one of the most epic legal showdowns we've ever seen in crypto. This wasn't just any old court case, folks. This was history in the making, the kind of battle people are going to be talking about for years, maybe decades. We're literally living through a moment that'll be in the textbooks someday. I'm just scratching my head here. Why can't we all celebrate this as a massive win for the entire crypto industry? Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit. When Ripple went toe-to-toe with the SEC, they weren't just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for all of us. And those victories, they benefit everyone in this space. But does anyone want to give them credit? Nah. Speaking of wins, we just got another huge piece of news that landed in our document library. The SEC just waived the bad actor disqualification for Ripple. Get this, the SEC fought this tooth and nail after the Torres decision, and now they're basically rolling over and saying, okay, fine, you win. The victories just keep stacking up. Now, if you're wondering what the heck this actually means, Johnny Deaton broke it down perfectly. Ripple can keep raising money in private markets. You could even say it's like hitting the reset button, as if that whole lawsuit and the $125 million fine just vanished into thin air. This is exactly the outcome we were hoping for. But here's where it gets really interesting for XRP's future. Sure, some people are already whining that this means more sell pressure for XRP. But hold up. Let's think about this differently. Take ROUSD, for example. That's actually generating real revenue for Ripple now, which means they don't have to dump XRP like they used to just to keep the lights on. But here's where things get absolutely bonkers. Ripple is now squeaky clean, which brings us right back to that national bank charter they applied for. And this is exactly why everyone's suddenly losing their minds over Ripple again. They never saw this coming. They figured this legal nightmare would drag on forever. Honestly, I don't think these people ever believed the case would actually end, let alone that Ripple would come out swinging as the winner. But here we are, case closed, and now everyone's scrambling because of Ripple's next moves. Let's flash back to July 2nd. That's when Ripple dropped their application for a national bank charter license with the OCC. If they actually pull this off, we're talking about something completely unprecedented. They'd have both state oversight through New York's Department of Financial Services and federal oversight. That's like having a bulletproof vest made of trust for the stablecoin world. This would literally launch Ripple and ROUSD into their own stratosphere, completely separate from every other major player in the stablecoin game. We're not talking about being a little better than the competition. We're talking about operating on a completely different planet. Oh, and they didn't stop there. They also went for a FedMaster account on top of everything else. Think about how absolutely insane this scenario would be. Ripple would basically nuke the entire competition from orbit. They'd be playing by rules that nobody else can even touch. It's like bringing a rocket launcher to a knife fight. And you know what? I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I genuinely think they're going to get the thumbs up from the OCC on this whole thing. Same with that FedMaster account application. Because once that goes through, we're talking about RLUSD reserves sitting directly with the Fed. That's not just next level, that's game over for everyone else. This is exactly why Caitlin Long and her crew are absolutely losing it right now. They can see the writing on the wall. Ripple is about to steamroll the entire industry. They're positioning themselves to not just dominate the stablecoin space, but to become the digital asset bank with direct Fed connections. It's honestly one of the most aggressive power moves I've ever seen in crypto. Any stablecoin issuer trying to compete in the US is about to realize they're not even playing the same sport anymore. Ripple just raised the bar so high, it's practically in orbit. But here's where it gets really ridiculous. Check out this gem from the Bitcoin maxi crowd. XRP is down 86% from its all-time high in 2018. It's unlikely to ever recover. And they're showing this XRP Bitcoin pair chart like it's some kind of smoking gun. Here's the hilarious part. Even XRP Mickle called them out on this nonsense. These people are so terrified of XRP that they won't even show the full all-time XRP Bitcoin chart. They're literally cherry-picking data because they can't handle the truth. Want to know what that truth is? For most of XRP's existence, you would have made more money buying XRP than Bitcoin. Yeah, that stings, doesn't it? The amount of data manipulation and chart gymnastics these people pull just to trash XRP is absolutely wild. Here's the real issue with these Bitcoin maximalists. They're absolutely terrified of anything that can actually work at scale. They're scared out of their minds of crypto that has real-world utility. Because let's be brutally honest here, Bitcoin has zero utility. I know that's going to ruffle some feathers, but it's the truth. Sure, technically you can make transactions on the Bitcoin network, but seriously, why the hell would you want to? When you've got XRP sitting right there, or Hedera, or even Stellar, it's like choosing to ride a horse on the highway when there are Ferraris available. It blows my mind that people still worship Bitcoin like it's some kind of technological masterpiece. Look, I'll give Bitcoin credit where it's due. It cracked open the door for everything else we have today. Here's where it gets really funny, though. You challenge them to actually use Bitcoin for scaling transactions, and suddenly they get all quiet. Oh, wait, Bitcoin can't actually handle that. Exactly. You can't build scalable real-world applications on Bitcoin because it just wasn't designed for that. The funniest part? All they've got left is that tired old store of value story. That's literally their only talking point now. Bitcoin good because number go up and store value. That's it. That's their entire playbook. And deep down, that's exactly why they're losing sleep over XRP. Because they know, we all know, that XRP still has a shot at flipping Bitcoin someday. That possibility keeps them up at night. Look, just check out XRP's performance this past year. It's absolutely crushing both Ethereum and Bitcoin. No wonder people are getting nervous, and now that the last big roadblock has been cleared away from XRP's path, oh man, they should be worried. XRP could seriously shake things up and become the powerhouse we've all been waiting for. I've been saying this for years. Remember back in January when I said if Bitcoin maximalists are upset now, just wait until these things happen? XRP ETFs get the green light and start trading? That's going to be huge. XRP flipping Ethereum again? It's happened before and it could definitely happen again. Banks jumping on Ripple's custody solutions for everything from tokenization to other use cases now that SAP 121 is gone. We're already seeing it with banks like EasyBank using Ripple's custody today. And when US banks finally announce they're using XRP, we haven't seen that announcement yet, but you know it's coming. US banks will eventually tap into XRP through Ripple. Then XRP starts making its move toward potentially flipping Bitcoin itself. Yeah, that's still totally on the table. Here's the thing, when utility actually starts driving value, it's going to show just how silly this whole store of value argument is for something as crazy volatile as Bitcoin. Bitcoin maximalists can keep pushing their theories all they want, but this space has totally evolved and utility is becoming the real story. You want proof of what's really going down? Just look at all the fear, hate, and jealousy flooding your timeline. That tells you everything you need to know about what's coming next. Sit back and enjoy the show. This is exactly what I'm talking about. They absolutely hate XRP. They're jealous of it. They're scared of it. I actually called this out back in February when I quoted this post that's not available anymore. Man, I wish I could still show you that post because it was just wild at the time. But I said it was hilarious how Ripple and XRP have been living completely rent-free in all these haters' heads for years now. Just think about this crazy journey we've been on. Bitcoin and Ethereum maximalists kept calling XRP the banker's coin and saying it was anti-crypto. Then the SEC drops their lawsuit bombshell and XRP takes a nosedive. All the Bitcoin and Ethereum maximalists are having a field day, laughing and throwing serious shade. Then July 2023 hits, boom, XRP gets ruled as not a security in court. Suddenly, the maximalists are losing their minds. But here's where it gets really interesting. These same people start celebrating ETF filings. Remember, they've been calling XRP the banker's coin and totally anti-crypto this whole time. For the next year plus, they're hyping up ETFs while cheering on more and more centralized control over their precious Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now look where we are. We've got what might be the most crypto-friendly administration ever, plus a pro-crypto SEC, CFTC, Congress, and even an official crypto council. What's absolutely hilarious? Ripple's founders and team members have been right in the thick of basically every major crypto conversation since the election. If you thought the maximalists were going off the rails these past few years, just imagine their reaction when XRP keeps climbing higher, especially when it's sitting pretty as the top crypto in the US and Ripple gets woven into the American financial system. Hate to burst your bubble, maximalists, but Ripple's success story is going to be way bigger than you ever imagined. RLUSD and XRP are going to keep growing like crazy. The XRP ledger is going to get busier and busier. And here's the kicker. All of this is happening while Bitcoin and Ethereum's clunky inefficiencies keep holding back real adoption and network usage. Look, the truth stings sometimes. I genuinely want Bitcoin and Ethereum to keep doing well. But we can't ignore reality here. The most efficient technology always wins in the end. Remember when it felt like nothing could ever touch BlackBerry, MySpace, or Yahoo? Yeah, welcome to how the real world actually works. This is exactly why I keep telling everyone you need to pay attention to what's really happening in this space. All this back and forth drama, all these comparisons about Bitcoin outperforming XRP or whatever, it's complete nonsense. Here's the thing, we're still at the very beginning of this crypto cycle, and I'm not talking about the typical 4-year Bitcoin hype cycle we've been following. I'm talking about the actual adoption cycle. The real adoption phase of crypto technology is just getting started. Sure, we've been riding these 4-year waves of speculation and hype that revolve around Bitcoin, but that's all about to change. And when things really start shifting in a massive way, when this space becomes driven purely by utility, we won't even be having these ridiculous arguments anymore. We won't be sitting around debating Bitcoin. We won't be obsessing over Ethereum. We'll be talking about the utility-based projects that are actually getting used at massive scale. All this infighting, all this ridiculous drama, it's going to be exactly what it is right now, pure noise. That's literally all this is, just noise. Here's what I don't get. If Bitcoin is supposedly so successful, if it's the top crypto, if these people love Bitcoin so much, then why can't they stop talking about XRP? Ever wonder about that? It's because they're scared. They're worried. They see what's coming. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more free content coming your way. Thanks for watching, everyone. Peace out.